this is Eva from The Charm of It, and I thought I would record a quick demonstration of how I graft, which is also known as kitchenering, and it's when you have two pieces of knit fabric and you want to join them together, and you want to join them in a way that it looks like it's just plain knitting, like they've been knit in one piece. Okay, so in this case I've got two scarf ends that I'm going to join in the middle. And you want to graft with the wrong sides facing each other. It's not like knitting. By the way, I'm using the same lens now that I used to record my episodes. I'm hoping that it causes fewer focusing issues, but bear with me because the camera is literally, I don't know, 6 feet, maybe 4 feet above the table right now on the tripod, which is intense. Okay, so you want your knitting to have the wrong sides together, as I said, and other than your knitting, all you need is a, there we go, tapestry needle, also known as a darning needle, and I grabbed 3 so that I could show you, the different points. So this one is very pointy, and that I use for weaving in ends, but I would not use it for grafting. This one is quite blunt, and then this one is somewhere in the middle. And for grafting, I prefer to use the blunt one because that way I'm not catching any plies of the yarn. Especially with a yarn like this that's loosely plied. So I always leave quite a long end because I really don't want to have to try to join more yarn in halfway through my grafting. And you just thread your needle, and now we are set to begin. So you want to arrange it so that the wrong sides are facing each other and so that the yarn is coming from the back. And grafting is a 4-step process. However, you don't start with the first step because in each case, basically you work 2 steps on the front needle and then 2 steps on the back needle. However, for the very first stitch, you haven't had a chance to work the preparatory part, so that's why you have to start a little later in the sequence than the rest of it goes. So the front is what's facing you, and that's going to be your knit fabric. If you were grafting reverse stockinette, you would want to still have it looking like this because when you graft, the stockinette stitches are going to appear on the same side as this fabric. I hope that makes sense. So, for the very first stitch, and on this needle, since you can see the knit stitches, you're always going to prepare as if you're purling, and then when you take the stitch off, you go knitways. On the back needle, where you can kind of see the purl stitches, you prepare as if you were knitting, and to take it off, you purl. So that's the way that I remember it, in case that helps you. So first we're preparing, so you go in through that first stitch as if you were purling with a knitting needle, and you draw the yarn through. And now you want to prepare the first of the back stitches. So you go in as if to knit, and by that I mean from left to right. If you want to purl, you go in from right to left. This is a preparatory one, so you go in as if to knit. And then I tend to leave the yarn a little loose when I'm grafting in this kind of situation and I want to match tension. If I'm grafting socks, I just pull it snug to begin with. So now that we've done those 2 preparatory steps, we can begin the 4-part grafting process that you'll do across the rest of the piece. So, since this is the stitch that's coming off, go in as if to knit. Now we need to prepare the second stitch, so go in as if to purl and draw your yarn through. And before we do anything else to the front, we have to match it with the back. So go in as if to purl because this stitch is coming off. Then go in as if to knit to prepare that second stitch to be popped off next time. Okay. Now, I'll deal with the tension stuff later. Okay. So in as if to knit, and that one comes off. In as if to purl, and that one is now ready. And I tend to use my middle finger to stop the back ones from popping off early. In as if to purl, and it's allowed to come off. in as if to knit to prepare for its turn. I guess that's how I see it. It's like the warm-up. Okay. I can just keep doing this forever. In as if to knit, then purl to prepare, in as if to purl, and knit to prepare. And I've also seen this described with the mnemonic device, knit off, purl, purl off, knit. Basically, you're just working in a mirror image because you're working on the front of this needle and the back of that needle. And you can start to see that it still looks like knit stitches, and I'm grafting in a lace pattern, so that's why there are these yarn overs that are coming together. Those are intentional holes. Okay. So knit off, purl, whoops, there we go. This is a linen silk blend yarn, and it really likes to hug itself. So we're just going to undo that knot. That is not usually part of grafting. Okay, and now let's say I got distracted by the knot, and oh no, I don't know what I just did, and so therefore I don't know what step to do next in the grafting. Okay, so if I look at my knitting, I can see that the yarn is in the front. So that means that whatever I just did, I did it to the front. And if I look, I can see that that yarn went in from right to left. So I must have just done purl into that stitch. So that means that I'm ready to start my back again. Here, we'll reverse that real quickly. So if you got distracted and then you're looking at your knitting and it looks like this, then that means, hopefully you can see that, this is the yarn that we're grafting with. So if it came in from left to right, then that would mean that this stitch is ready to be popped off, and so then I would do a purl to prepare and then move on to the back needle. So I've done so much grafting that at this point it's quite easy to read, but I remember when I began grafting I was always petrified that I would lose my place and then have to start all the way over. Okay, so purl off, knit to prepare because we're in the back, knit off, purl to prepare. I've just realized that you might not be able to see that because of my hand. Okay. Knit off, sorry, purl off, knit to prepare. Now I'm just confusing everyone. Knit off, come on, and then purl to prepare. There we go. Now I'm not blocking it. And you don't have to do that in one movement. You can do it in two. So you can do purl off, pop it off, and pull your yarn all the way through. Oops, sorry. And then do knit to prepare and pull your yarn all the way through again. But I find that not only it requires me to pull the yarn through twice as long, but it also makes it more difficult to tell what step I'm on. If I do it in one fluid step, knit off, purl to prepare, then at least once I've pulled that yarn through, I know that I've either finished the back or the front if something happens and I have to take a break. So purl off, knit to prepare. These videos. And as you can see, I need to tighten up the grafting a little just to match my gauge. And so all I do is just go in with my yarn needle and pull the yarn, which is another reason why I prefer the blunter tips. And then you can pull the yarn. So I usually stop and adjust the tension every 5 stitches or so. And there you have it, the beginning of the grafting. I will go back in and sort out my tension issues right here, but pretty soon this will be a finished scarf. I hope that that was useful. I guess I have the opportunity to show you how to pick up stitches since I just popped my needle protector off the end. Okay, ready? 1, 2, in a lace pattern too, that's exciting. 3, 4. Luckily this is easy lace. Did a whole video on this, so I'm not going to go into the details now. I'll just show you. The key is to not panic and to pinch that fabric so that the stitches can't run, even when the yarn is a linen silk blend and not as grabby as wool. Although really this is pretty grabby. Okay, we are all done now.